And I do apologize. As I said, we did have a facilities subcommittee meeting right before that ran a little bit over, so we apologize for the delay to the meeting. Ms. Barr, will you please take a roll call?
Ms. Bonello? Here. Mr. Charbonneau?
Here.
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 Mr. Larrabee? Mr. Marino?
Here.
Ms. Dooley?
Here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First on the agenda, we have a recognition. I believe Wilda Arbolita is here from the mayor's office. Oh, there you are. You're right on the other side of that podium. Okay, if you'd like to come up and announce the recognition that we have tonight. I don't think the person receiving it knows that they're receiving it.
Got it. So thank you all for your time and for having me here. I'm here on behalf of Mayor Grebian, who has a citation to Joanne Bonello in recognition of her 15 years of dedicated service to the City of Pawtucket School Committee.
When I looked at you, Joanne, I really did. I thought, wow, I love that top.
Citation, the mayor wasn't able to say, but we all wanted to say thank you.
And Joanne, this was also sent over to us through the mail, and it is just a certificate of recognition and appreciation for 15 years of dedicated service to the City of Pawtucket. So. But thank you so much, Ms. Bonello. You really are an inspiration to me, and I know that, you know,
I can't hear anybody.
okay, wonderful. Ms. O'Neill, you're in, so if you want to unmute yourself.
All right, thank you. Thanks for allowing me to speak, everybody. I'll be brief. It's almost past my bedtime, so I'll be quick. I want to introduce myself. My name is Judy O'Neill. I'm a Pawtucket resident and a Pawtucket teacher. In fact, I've stood at polling places supporting many of you with the Pawtucket Teachers Alliance. I would respectfully like to comment on the lack of COVID testing in our schools. As you know, many districts such as Lincoln, Cumberland, Westerly, Narragansett, East Providence, the list kind of goes on, they test in the schools once a week. And I think I speak for not only myself, but I believe many of my colleagues. As a PE and health teacher, I teach almost every class in the school. I teach classes with students who have medical exemptions to wearing a mask. My husband also works in the school department, and we both are around a lot of people all the time on any given day. I'm 60 years old, I'm vaxxed, I'm boosted, I wear double masks, but I'm still worried and I'm still stressed about this COVID in the schools. I believe many of my colleagues are too. It's very stressful. I believe in-school testing would help everyone in the schools feel more safe and more comfortable doing our jobs. I think it'd be safer for the students, safer for the teachers, safer for everybody in the building. So I guess my question is, why aren't we doing this and following the lead of many other different districts? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. O'Neill. We will now move on to new business discussion action items. The first item is RIDE Facility Equity MOA.
Good evening. Back in November, the school committee approved an application for approximately $11 million to be submitted to RIDE in support of upgrading schools with RIDE's facility initiative. I'm just actually looking for my paperwork, sorry. During that time, when it was voted on and we submitted the projects, we had to put them in a priority order. And that priority was, the number one priority was to upgrade some elementary school media centers. So when RIDE was here in early December, they mentioned that we were going to be awarded $2.5 million of the allotted money that was available to districts. There were, I believe it was West Warwick, Pawtucket, Providence, and Woonsocket were the eligible districts. And it ended up being that come December, we found out that we actually were being awarded $4.3 million. So the projects are broken down as, now I can't find my list. The projects that are broken down is Goff Middle School is the steam room, it's $526,000. Slater Middle School is an upgrade to the cafeteria and community area, that's $190,000. Cunningham, $331,000 for the media center upgrade. Little, $439,000 for the media center upgrade. Varia Elementary media center upgrade, $860,000. Curtis Elementary School, $540,000 media center upgrade. Fallon media center upgrade, $410,000. And Curvin McCabe is $1,059,000 media center upgrade. So we're here before to ask you to approve this memorandum of agreement that RIDE has presented to us. It's $4.3 million. Their commitment, minimum commitment is $3.6 million. And if our projects are at a minimum of MBE work at 15%, then we could possibly have the projects 100% funded.
It's been a motion to approve the RIDE Facility Equity MOA by Ms. Grant. It's been seconded by Ms. Bonolo. Am I correct that we all need to sign this document as well?
Clean document, Donna has it, and everyone from the school community that's present should sign it. We can get to for the ones that aren't here, we can probably swing by or scan and have them sign it, but
Okay.
at least if we have a quorum here, we can at least get the document over to them and let them know that the full document's coming.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion on this item. Mr. Knight?
Why is Varia so expensive? $800,000 and most of the others are like $400,000.
Size, Colliers was, visited the schools, and I think that Varia, Varia might be one of the larger ones in the media center.
Yeah, Varia is one of our larger media centers. Varia was just the largest. Also, Curvin would be the largest. Even though we estimated Curvin for what it is, I don't think we took into consideration there might be cost savings there where we can maybe use it elsewhere because we do have the new ceilings in there and new LED lighting. And originally when we were going through this, I don't think that was factored in. So it's mostly based on square footage, and those would be the two biggest ones.
Thank you. Ms. Bonolo?
Cost savings, like say at Curvin or Varia. Can we use it elsewhere?
I would have to check with RIDE, but typically in previous MOAs, if one project was over and another approved project was under, we could use the under for the other project. So I don't want to be quoted as saying definitely yes, but I have seen it happen, and we would certainly ask RIDE those questions if we're able to take the entire 4.3 and shift the buckets.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to certainly thank RIDE. I think this is a great win for the district, $4.3 million to to do some things that are really, will really enhance the buildings on the interior. And I would just ask that I know we've talked about it quite a few times, but that we formalize some kind of communication plan to notify the community of the work that's going on in the district as we progress through not only the RIDE initiative, but the remaining work that's left to be done in the district.
I see no further discussion. Ms. Barr, will you please take a roll call?
Ms. Bonomo?
Yes.
Mr. Charbonneau?
Yes.
Ms. Grant?
Yes.
Mr. Knight?
Yes.
Marino? Ms. Juby?
Yes, the motion carries 6-0. Next, we have the RISS survey, adolescent substance use and misuse. Dr. McWilliams.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I bring before you for your approval. This is an every other year survey that RIDE supports with the Department of Health for behavioral health of middle and high school students. You should have had also the actual questions that are asked. In keeping with the school committee policy, this is something that the school committee needs to approve, but also RIDE requires that the school committee approve it. And it is an electronic survey, so you're seeing the paper copy, but paper copies would be available on site for parents to review, and also you have to have parent consent to opt out.
Second.
There's been a motion to approve RISS survey, adolescent substance use and misuse by Ms. Bonomo. It's been seconded by Mr. Marino. Ms. Bonomo and then Ms. Grant.
So printed at 16 pages, and it's got 79 questions. When are they supposed to do this? And second part of that question is, when we've done it previously, how have the results turned out?
So they give the results out by the state. We don't get it identified by our community or our students. It's actually something that the Department of Health, Behavioral Health does to use for data for grants. A lot of grants use that kind of data for the state. So I don't have that specific information, but I do know that they have shared out in previous years at the Wellness Committee, I believe, and I can have Mrs. Rabbit speak to that. And then what was the other part of your question? You had a two-part.
How many?
Oh, so it's
Everybody's
usually
doing it
done
in
during
one
advisory, during the advisory period.
This gets sent to the students electronically. But if they want to opt out, their parents have to sign it?
So what will happen is, if the school committee approves this, there'll be a process where the Department of Health and RIDE will contact the middle and the secondary schools, and they'll have a whole packet of online, so parent consent forms, and there's actually a link where the parents can go right to the site. They can view it electronically, and then a time and a date of administration will be chosen, a period of the day, usually advisory, and then it would be, the students would log into a site.
So if the students, so I just want to make sure, the students are required to take it.
No, the
No.
students are not required. It's an optional. So that would be a discussion between the parent and the student if the student didn't want to take it, but it would also be a discussion if the parent wanted the student to take it, so.
Okay, I just wanted clarification on the opt-out type thing. Okay, thank you.
Ms. Bonomo.
I just want to, the parents don't have access to this, correct?
So what will happen is, if it's approved, not yet, but if it's approved, so we did this 2 years ago, if it's approved, there's a whole process that happens with the department, and there'll be permission slips with the link, and it will bring them to a site that actually has the survey that they'll be able to view. And if they don't have access to a computer, then there'll be hard copies that are left in the office, and then there'll be permission slips. All that will be, it wouldn't happen probably till the spring.
Right, but the parents wouldn't see what their children are saying, would they?
Oh, no, it's done
Okay,
in advisory
thank you.
period on a computer, right.
Mr. Marino.
This isn't only in English, is it?
I believe their site there has it in Spanish and Portuguese. Mrs. Rabbit, would you be able to confirm that? I believe the site has it in Spanish and Portuguese. And that could be printed in Spanish and Portuguese as well. Yes.
Okay.
Recalling from 2 years ago.
And just to reiterate what you said, this is different than SurveyWorks. I know that this little letter explains kind of how this is the one that's given every other year. Different from SurveyWorks, this is the one that the state is using. And when we see numbers that identify things that are state trends,
Right.
this is not identifiable at all by
No,
district. This is the one that RIDO uses, if I'm correct.
yes.
Okay. I see no other discussion. Ms. Barber, will you please take a roll call?
Ms. Bonolo? Mr. Charbonneau? Ms. Grant?
Yes.
Mr. Knight?
Yes.
Mr. Marino? Ms. Doobie?
Yes, the motion carries 6-0. Next, we have field trips for committee approval.
So this is an annual field trips that the JROTC takes. Obviously, due to COVID in previous years, they haven't been able to take it, but we bring this before you for your an approval. Tolman JROTC to go to Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, March of 2022. 14 cadets, 6 chaperones, 2 ROTC instructors for Rhode Island Army National Guard. And obviously, they'll be doing snowshoeing and winter survival skills. And there was one other,
There's two.
there's two,
correct?
I'm sorry, yes, there's two. And then there's also the training competition, which is in Elizabeth, New Hampshire, New Jersey, the following week. And that's also for 12 cadets, 3 chaperones, 1 JROTC instructor, and 2 Rhode Island Army National Guards.
Motion to approve?
There's been a motion to approve the field trips by Ms. Grant. It's been seconded by Ms. Bonolo. Any discussion? Ms. Grant?
Where do they stay? Do they stay in just regular hotels, or is there?
No, there actually is a site. Mrs. Rabbit, do you know about the site that they stay at?
Is it a National Guard?
I believe it's a site that, it's a training site that they go to every year.
Mrs. Grant, can you just repeat the question?
Oh, I was just wondering, where do they stay? Do they stay in hotels, or do they stay in
In
hostels?
New Hampshire, they're going to stay in the Appalachian Trail Lodging. The Appalachian, it's pretty well known, it's a wilderness lodge, but there are meals. There's breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay.
When they're in Elizabeth, they are staying, let me just say, Appalachian Mountain Club. I believe in Elizabeth, they're staying in housing that is a hotel, but they also sometimes stay in National Guard housing. So I can check and get back to you which one they're doing.
All right, thanks.
And just to clarify, the funding for this comes from JROTC, yes.
Yeah, and these are trips they didn't go on last year because of COVID, but they have participated years in the past.
Okay, wonderful. I think it would be, I just feel like I've been on the committee for a while and I haven't really had a report. It would be wonderful if we, so I know that they have these both in March. If maybe in April, we could hear back from them about how these trips went and what they're learning there, and just maybe a report.
I'm sure Colonel Richardson would
Okay.
like to do that.
Thank you. Okay, the next items, I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Charbonneau. He can walk us through, some of these might be ones that we're kind of, oh, sorry. First, we're going to take a vote. We have a motion to approve, and it's been seconded. Ms. Barber, please take a roll call.
Charbonneau? Yes. Ms. Grant? Mr. Knight?
Yes.
Mr. Marino?
Yes.
Ms. Doobie?
Yes. Okay, the motion carries 6-0. Now, I will turn this over to Mr. Charbonneau, who can walk us through the facilities subcommittee recommendations or items. Mr. Charbonneau.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I will be brief. The Facilities Subcommittee has no recommendations this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Charbonneau. Okay, we will now move on to executive session. A vote to recess to executive session in accordance with provisions under Rhode Island General Laws, RIGL 42-46-5, A2, litigation for the purpose of discussing and or acting upon, 1, Kerwin McCabe Pathland Project Review, 2, seal executive session minutes, and 3, adjourn executive session. It's been a motion to move into executive session by Ms. Grant. It was seconded by Mr. Marino. All those in favor? Aye.
Could I
Yes.
make a motion that we invite our CFO, Ms. Devine, our Director of Facilities, Mr. Cody, and the Principal of Kerwin, Ms. Nelson, to join us in the executive session?
Second.
There's been a motion by Mr. Charbonneau to include our CFO, Mr. Cody, and the principal of Kerwin in the executive session. It's been seconded by Ms. Bonolo and Mr. Marino. Any discussion? Any discussion on inviting in? All those in favor? Aye. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Ms. Grant.
I just wanted to, Mrs. Nelson comes into our executive session. I just want to make sure that when we are discussing, that we only discuss certain things with her in the room. I just want to, because I know we have quite a few things that we're going to be discussing tonight about this particular situation. So I just want to make sure that if it gets into conversation in regards to any of our relationships with contractors or anything like that, maybe she not be involved in that.
Can I have some legal guidance? So we have a motion on the table to allow somebody into executive session. Is it then the purview of the committee to basically say, and now that invitation is over, or at some point, as Ms. Grant is indicating?
Yes. However, my concern would be, the answer is yes to that. If it were that sort of easy to compartmentalize the discussion, but I think a lot of the discussion of the legal matter that we're going to review, probably 95% of it relates to what was identified as being a concern for
I just didn't want to make her feel uncomfortable at any point if the conversation went in any particular direction.
I would say, I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I think what Ms. Grant is saying is that she's very interested in hearing from Ms. Nelson and hearing her experiences, but then, and having us ask questions, but then as we move into the discussion of the actual item, we would then do that.
Yes, you could certainly ask her to be excused at that point after you had the opportunity to listen to her talk to you about her concerns and whatever else she may want to share with you.
Okay, wonderful. Okay. Mr. Knight, did you have a question?
Mr. Conley answered it.
Oh, okay. Mr. Conley answered it. Got it. Okay, so there is a motion to allow 3 people into the executive session on the table. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. And now I believe we had a motion and a second already, Ms. Barba, to move into executive session? Okay. All those in favor of moving into executive session?
Aye.
The motion carries 6-0. We are now in executive session, and we're going up. And Mr. Knight, would you prefer to dial in as you did in the past?
I can do it that way if you'd like,
Okay.
if it's okay with Mr. Shaw.
Okay, we'll reconvene in open session.
Hello again.
Here.
Here.
Yeah.
Joe?
Yeah. Yeah. Legal can let you know afterwards. Can you please report out the vote of the 127-22 executive session?
I can't hear anybody.
Oh, there you go. Thank you, Joe. Joe's here.
Tonight, 3 votes were taken for the current pay timeline to seal the minutes and to adjourn.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
The motion to adjourn by Mr. Marino. It was preemptively seconded by Ms. Grant. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned at 9:07.
After certain